So just today, just feel like starting. I'm just moving. Start with a little sage. Oops. Okay, I'm going to start with some sage. Nice evolving eagle feather.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bring in a little bit of cedar. Oop, some space there. Bringing in a little cedar. Giving you some of your home scent of cedar. And lastly, for balance, we're gonna take this off. I'm not gonna take this off. And sweetgrass for balance. We thank the elements here this morning. To the ancestors of this land, to the land that you're standing on, to the land that I'm standing. We give great thanks. Nature spirits, earth, water, fire, and air. We are of the same mother, brotherhood and sisterhood of white light, grandfather, grandmother, angels and archangels, animal totems, winged ones, ones with fins, crawling ones, two-leggeds. We give great thanks for all of these relations. We ask for your continued support, guidance, and grounding as we gather together here this morning. Take a few deep breaths. And honor the revitalization, restoration, and rejuvenation of all beings. To the Evolutionary Council of Light, we call you. We call you into the center of this circle as we place a Merkaba above our heads, a counter rotating vibrational field of energy, light, and information. We call in the spirit of water that connects us through our breath, through the soil, and through the water. We love you and we thank you. We respect you. And we are you. May we stand tall in clear choice and knowing as we walk forward on this beautiful rainbow road, knowing we are fully loved, adored, and cherished for the precious gifts of love and light that we are. To the animal totems, we thank you for your undying and effervescent presence in our lives as medicine, wisdom. Today, as we weave our stories, enlighten us. Just taking a few breaths, breathing in with our nose, letting go the exhale gently. Divine creator, creatress, we ask God, we ask to use these hands as instruments of thy peace. So that truth, love, honesty, and wisdom prevail in this space and in coherence. And just bringing our attention into our heart center, feeling this interconnected web. And energy moving out and around the earth. We invite all our seen and unseen helpers to be here today, present, as we open our hearts to receive that what's needed most. In reverence, joy, unity. So be it, and so it is. Great. Thank you, Eagle Feather. So I'm going to just grab. All right. So yeah, let's just do a check-in and just see what's moving and any questions or yeah, and then we'll talk about specifics or what's I love you. So great.
What?
I love you. You're just like so um transparent. It's a good thing. Oh my god. Are you all right?
Yeah, I a couple days before my birthday, I essentially oh yeah, I felt not that good when we met last Wednesday.
Right.
And so I essentially just had like a couple days where I binge watched a show on Netflix and um was just mellow. And then so still like little ramifications of a cough, but not anything that bad. Checking in. I right before our call, the person got back to me who finally went over the contract I sent out to her, and so that just like was like this like poof of moving forward. And she asked about reframing instead of like a month, a certain number of hours afterwards for support, which is totally doable. But very exciting and feels really good to be receiving money for things, and when I get that in, I will pay you. Um, which yeah, it just feels really, really lovely. Um, and yeah, I think I mentioned to you, or you've seen in my post about doing a 5-week, like small group workshop.
Yeah.
I mentioned this to you.
Yep.
Um,
I saw it.
and yeah, and so I've just been thinking about promoting that and like reaching out and stuff. Um, and yeah, just being more active in the Facebook group I had, and even just I've been very quiet in it and just feeling like a rejuvenation of energy, or like having something to promote. And some random person that I've never heard of before downloaded my workbook, and I have no idea how she found it. Um, like it's out there in a number of different ways, and it's on like my links page, but I don't totally know for sure. And so yeah, it's just like feels like opportunity and excitement is like starting to bubble. Um, and yeah, and the dowsing the other day went really well. I was feeling a little bit unwell and wasn't quite sure if it was just like my own nerves. I felt like I didn't have like the things that I needed, and I really tried getting the rods beforehand, but like ordered them and they weren't there, even though they were there later in the day and stuff. But we did it without any of it. And then I laid the rods the next day when I got them and got them cut. And
Mm.
at this place, I was like, I don't know where to go. And I ended up posting on this place called Meadow Share. It's like a collective, like free place that people post stuff to get rid of or different things. And I was like, does anyone have like a way to cut these? And there was this really cool, it's called The Forge, and it's like a woodworking and metal shop. It's only open 2 days a week, but one of the days was Saturday, and so I picked up the rods on Saturday morning, and then like went off trekking through the snow. And some person like cut them all for me, and then even sanded like the metal so they're like a nice soft point. And so now I have all the rods.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and then that's what I did for my birthday. I ended up like energetically like clearing the rods and placing the rods in like our space. Um, which I did that morning. I like got back after trekking all over the place, and I was like, I'm not in the mood to do this now. Like in the morning for my birthday, I'll go to yoga, and then I came home, did like the meditation, listen to your meditation, and then yeah, energetically purified them, blessed them, and then laid them at the different places in the house that I got. So,
And did you test it before and afterward, what the house energy was, and then what?
so I did not. I did not do that morning, and I actually didn't realize that I forgot to like retest after we were done with the dowsing to check the energy again, and then I did it again, but before I laid the rods. So I could do it again now that I have the rod, that they're laid down, but I haven't re-doused for the energy after laying them.
And do you
Does
remember
that
what
make
do you remember sorry. Um, do you
the
remember
numbers?
what the energy was in the beginning?
Yeah. So I wrote notes for
Okay,
everything.
okay. So we can all right, you can.
And actually the map was really nice to have because I couldn't lay the rods immediately. I just made notes on the map of where they go.
You mean when you say map, you're drawing?
My drawing, yeah.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, we ended up going out to the front of the house to like open up instead of just to the hallway, because so much of the apartment is about like the street in front and not just the entry, like the small entryway in the closed staircase. um and so we did a really nice opening of the house, and she ended up crying. I am good at making people cry. She ended up crying in the front of the house, but like when we just like were opening it up, um, and feeling just like the historic and the connection. And I ended up going the night before. So with the snow, it's before then. Um, and going and just like connecting with the stones and connecting with like the front of the house, and gave a little bit of a offering to the front of the house and to the stones, and connected. And actually it was,
This
I
was
ended up,
before
there's
you.
these,
I'm sorry. This was
before she came,
okay.
like, yeah, like the day before she came, or the morning before she came, I ended up going out and like connecting and just um yeah, starting the process then, and feeling, asking essentially for their blessings to work here, um and stuff. And yeah, it was good. I actually did that, and then I went to try to go get my dowsing rods, and they didn't have them in yet. um and it was interesting, just as I was walking there, um just paying attention to the stonework and like the history of Edinburgh, and just like looking at things in a slightly different light. And
Can you describe that a little bit more? Just curious how that,
um
what you know about the history and what's moving or
I don't know that much of the history, but I had like this, um the building, building right next door, there's a little plaque on the building saying like this person that was um his profession and lived here from, like the 1700s to like the 1800s or something, some, a couple hundred years ago time frame of like he lived in this house, and he was, I'm blanking on his professions, but these two different professions of residing here. And I just had this image of like people, in Old Town, like gowns and like walking around like top hats and like big dresses, and the 1800s, 1700s feeling of this street, and like the almost like the prestigiousness or the glamour, and like um like the high class, like just like freshness of like evolving and up and coming society, essentially, was the feeling I got from the street here. um and how it's changed now, but there's just so much stone and historicness and like somewhat density to a lot of the buildings here, as well as, you know Scotland, England, like there's just like interesting mixes of cultures, of like drinking and harshness, but there's almost like a lot of like um like Scotland is essentially like condensed of England, like, but really wants its independence and doesn't have that. So um there's a lot of just different lines of history and wanting to be free, but then kind of being like maintaining some independence, but also in line with, um, the Queen, the King of the UK. Um, and in the stones, there's like the feeling of like the wildness of Scotland. And when I connected more with um the person whose place this is, I'm blanking on her name right now, Katie, she, part of what I do like with my other stuff is like calling in what people love from like in nature, like they're around. And at one point I asked her just to like say some places that she loved in the world, and one of the things she said was like calling in just like the northern highlands and the winds of there. And as she was speaking this, and as we were doing, like, this was towards the end of the dowsing, it was just like she was like, oh my gosh, like I just like felt like the amaze, like the winds of the north like coming in and just like clearing through, and like coming through the apartment. Um, and she's like, it was so real, like it was there. And yeah, it was. And after, I didn't check the energy, but like everything looked like sparkly and clean and fresh, and like there is definitely like a palatable difference in the whole place.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. Exciting.
Yeah. Um, and there's probably other things I could say too, but like that was and I you just even mentioned like, said something about just like buildings just want to be loved, and she seemed a little bit unsure. She's like, I love this place, but I don't know. And I was like, you don't have to know if you want this or not. It's We're clearing the energy and making it so whoever this place is for, like that's who it will be for, whether that's you or someone else. And that made her instantly be like, oh, okay, great, like I don't need to know that answer right now, or um like struggle with what I'm doing necessarily with the place to have it be return to its wholeness of what it needs to be. So yeah.
Hmm. Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I'm curious about one thing. Um, what's moving right now? What do you?
um I was thinking about how I was just kind of surprised at almost like this line of what I got for some of the dowsing that I did for the place. And I was kind of surprised about what I found and what I didn't. And I haven't totally, there was a couple questions that spawned that I haven't totally formulated like yet. I like had them and didn't write them down. And so I need to remember them, which I will at some point on this call.
Okay. Um, can you say what some of the surprises were?
Um, that there just seemed, I realized like pretty much a lot of stuff just seemed to like line up almost like in the middle of like there's a clear line of like multiple places like within the middle line of the house, if that makes sense.
Um, what do you mean by a clear line in the middle?
So there's like one side of like our main living area, and then above that main living area is our bedroom, and then there's the entryway, bathroom, and other bedroom, and then there's the staircase and the closet, and like the stairway closet like line to that window, like a lot of things ended up falling along that
Oh, you mean like
area.
where you needed to put rods down or something? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's perfect to what I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
So the three windows below, that's what you're talking about, like that the bottom floor where the windows. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry. Uh,
Um,
did I get that drawing?
what? Yes. Did I not send you the drawings?
I think so.
I know I at least texted you them, and then I thought I put them
What
in the folder.
I no, they're not in not with all the pictures. It wasn't there because I remember looking
Oh.
and I didn't see them on your text, or I might have
Oh, I meant to put them in there.
when you quickly I think you quickly texted them and I said, oh, can you put them in an email? And then I never went back. Um,
Okay.
interesting. Yeah. So if you want to just send those over, that would be just so that I could, or I can
Yeah, yeah.
let you share.
Let me, yeah, I still have them here. Um, Here, I'll just email them to you. Or do, do, do. Um, I'll put them in the drive. Okay. They're in the drive now. Do you want me to share my screen or do you want me to share
Yeah.
yours?
Yeah, bring up here. No, I'll let you share. Hold on, let me just make you a co-host. Okay, you're a co-host, so you can share. Um, so I'm just curious, and we'll see if this. So start by bringing up the picture of the outside of the house.
Okay. So this picture?
Nope. The main picture with you know what? You sent it to me. The outs. Oh, it's not even in here. The outside of
Oh,
the.
it's not. I do know what picture you're talking about though.
Or I can bring it up.
Um, Here, I'll just add it. It's amazing technology.
Okay, yeah, that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to bring it. Let's see, bring it in closer. And I want to go. Okay, so all right. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. So okay, so those. So are you talking about where you think most of the stuff was the lower windows, which the lower.
So you can see my mouse. It was essentially like this line. Because so
So like going horizontal.
going like back through the apartment. So like going from the window inside the apartment. There's essentially like there was multiple things along the center line on both floors.
Okay, so is that a peripheral wall?
Um,
Where's the end of the, like, if this is the house is going this way where the windows are, where's the peripheral wall?
what do you mean by
Look at your we
peripheral?
can look at we can look at your drawing.
Yeah. So
Because the thing
this was a
I wanted to show you one thing. Before,
Mhm.
bring that back for 1 second.
Mhm.
So, okay. So the thing that at first right away caught my eye
Mhm.
without having is, you see this that well, there's like one wire going up to that, what looks like I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's a light. It's a street light.
Oh, that's a street light. Okay. And then you have all the other wires going up the side of the building that looks just like yeah, well, I
Yeah.
think that's a pipe, but on the other side, on the
This
left hand side. Yeah, what's that? Is that just a pipe too?
um
Or is that
there are some wires and then this is mainly a pipe. I
okay?
think that's a wire next to it.
So that's a light. Okay. All right. Because that was
Yeah.
something that I didn't know what it was. And
Yeah. It's a quite a bright light. Bright enough that like when you're in here, it like lights up this room like always. So these three windows
yeah.
are the main living area, and then the two shutters that are closed is the second bedroom, and then the upstairs three windows. This first window is actually right at the top of the stairs, and then the other two windows are in the bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. So yeah, show me the downstairs
Um,
floor.
so these are the three windows.
Okay.
It says windows. So those are the three. And then I ended up putting in these red dots. This is where this is the entryway, and that's where the fuse box is. And then this is where like the switches are, or like this is where the meter is, and then this is where the switches, like fuse boxes.
Okay. So so from the orange dot, you're walking up the stairs. Up the stairs.
Yeah, so you walk up the stairs here and then come down, and then there's one door you go through, and then a small corridor
So
that we
you
share.
literally open the door and there is the
Behind the door is there's like box that you can't really see because it's covered, but like you open it and it's like where the meter is and such.
meter. So not the fuse box, the
The
meter.
meter. Yeah.
Meter. Okay, so you like the electrical meter.
Yeah. Yes, I did not do a picture of it. I
Okay.
took a photo to
Yeah.
show you.
Yeah, that would be good to see. So, so, and then when someone opens that door, they're facing the meter. Is that right?
There, you don't see the meter because the door opens, so it
Yeah,
covers it.
yeah, but that doesn't count.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so they would be walking in, it's behind the door, and then do they have to turn to go in? How do they get in how do they get into the
So we're going straight down. So it's one door opens, and then right up front of it, like the next door opens to get to our place.
got it.
You
Okay. So
see.
that's one is outside the
One is like in like the joint entryway.
oh shit.
So this is like
Okay.
where the stairs are. We
Okay.
walk up the stairs. There's another door right at the top of the stairs on the right. That's another apartment. And then you go through, there's a
Sorry.
door that's locked
And then
belonging to both number 6 and 7.
yeah,
You open that. The other flat door is
yeah.
right to your left, and then we're straight ahead.
Okay, so it's just to bypass that one and
Yeah. And
okay,
that's like kind of the smelly corridor from cigarettes.
okay, and then you go through the second door,
And then you're in our flat.
and then you're facing a staircase going up or something.
You're facing a wall. It's
A
actually
wall.
it's actually really quite nice.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a little entryway.
Yeah.
Um, here I'll show you.
And wait,
Um,
hold on one second. Hold on one second. So then you're in that little space, and that's where the fuse box is in that area.
yeah, so there's essentially a place to hang coats and put shoes here. And I put a little chair there to put shoes on and off.
Yeah.
Um, and the fuse box is kind of like high on the wall, so you almost don't even see it. It's just like a little cabinet like towards the ceiling.
Right. Okay.
And I just uploaded these. So this um so this is the corridor, like this is the door closed and me opening where the meter is to go before going into our flat.
Okay. Okay.
And then
And that meter's for both unit or just yours?
I don't know.
Mhm. Okay.
And then yeah, this was the doorway like before. So that's opening the first door, and then behind that door is where the meter is.
Got it. Okay.
And then going through our door into flat 6, this is what you see. So you see slightly into the living room. The stairs are behind this wall going up
Okay.
in that little area. And then there's just a little pocket there that we hang coats and have shoes
Where's the
below
meter?
it.
Where's the meter?
The meter is behind.
The fuse box, sorry.
The fuse box is, if you turn to where the coats are, that's where the fuse box is. So,
Where is it? Is that
uh,
up? That's it up above?
yep,
Oh,
yeah,
they're actual fuses, like fuse switches or
yeah.
no?
If you flip it open, there's a
Oh,
like a row of fuses.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
the chair is there for me to open it to take a photo.
uh,
Um, yeah, and this is, so that's, walking in and then turning right, and the fuse box is right up there, above eye level, like above the door almost.
mhm.
So yeah.
Okay.
Um and
And show me the
as-
where the line is, that line that you
so the line, I ended up getting like
where's that line?
the line, this like center line from the middle window back, like from like a on the top floor. I got like something like on the stair, like where the stairs are, But like this line going through the house like this way, there was just like a few different things. I got a negative Hartman line was coming through here, which I realize is essentially like the, I guess, yeah, there isn't like, this is like the north part of the house would go this way. And so I was thinking but it's like northeast.
That the
Um,
bathroom is in front. Is
but no, so I didn't draw it
that
that
a
well.
closet? Is that a closet? What is
Yeah,
that?
it's a closet, and right here is where the water heater is, and the water tank.
Okay.
And so I ended up getting the negative Hartman line like in that closet, like behind that stuff, essentially. Or
And
like in that.
the other person's apartment, so that's the wall of the other person's apartment, right?
Yeah, and then the wall of the other person's apartment. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, which is essentially like center. So I don't know what's on the obviously the other side. But I essentially got a negative Hartman line is what I doused for there. And then I ended up drawing the northeast, southwest. And what I realized is um if it comes in from the northeast, essentially this is like east, due east west would be it coming in here, it would go directly through this fuse box, like the line would go directly that way.
Um,
um do
uh,
with the come
that's east-west, that line you're
Yeah.
drawing,
Hmm.
and it was a negative curry line, you said?
uh I got negative Hartman. I need
Oh,
to
yeah, that
remember what.
makes sense. No, no, actually, that makes sense because
Yeah.
it's actually a straight line east-west. Okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense. Okay. Um,
um
okay.
Yeah, and it was like perfect. I was like, oh, this is weird. It seems like something. And I was like, what? And I was like, very much like, well, we're essentially dowsing for like where to place the rods on like where that energy would even be like starting to enter the house to stop it.
Source,
Um,
right.
what?
Where it's sourced.
Yeah. Um, so, and then I should actually, I made little marks on here, but I got, I guess I got, yeah, and then I got a geopathic stress line right here. Wait, let me,
Yeah.
I can't. That area.
Okay. So where would you say that it was coming from?
Right. So it was like in like this weird spot in the middle.
Well,
And
it would, so you're always going to look and find it along the wall.
yeah,
So if you're standing in the middle and you think it's in the middle, you just want to ask.
I mean, it was by the wall. It was like in this corner.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I got a personal interference line for her. That was right here against the wall there.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then I got my own personal interference line by the window there for part of that center line area. And then for the one of my
Back up
questions
for a second.
was,
Can we just back
yep.
up? Okay.
Mhm.
So, and I'm gonna, now that I have it, I'll print it out and I can, um, I'm gonna just go through it myself. So if there's a geopathic stress line and you find it where you told me you found it,
Mhm.
then you actually would need, because it's not a peripheral wall,
Mhm.
you need to actually go into you would have to go back into that closet.
Mhm.
Need to find out where is it coming from. So is it coming from through the wall in the closet as a peripheral, or where the water heater is, right?
Yeah.
Um, and if you can't get, if it's coming, So it's a little bit, I don't know, right? This, I guess I could just ask. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Is it coming? Okay, where's that GPS source coming from? Okay. Is it coming? Water heater is water heater? No.
Not do that there.
What I want to suggest to you is go back, when you have a chance, just go back and like literally walk along the wall and ask to be shown the center of the geopathic stress. Where's it
Okay.
coming from? If it's coming, if there's a room behind it, or if there's a wall behind it, you need to actually go into that other room and see if you can catch it there.
Okay.
And just, yeah, go in one step deeper with it,
Mhm.
right? So if you put I mean, in this case, it might be fine if you just, so did you put a rod down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put a rod just against the wall, like
Oh,
right
right
there.
there. Okay. So just do
Yeah.
yourself a favor, because in this apartment, it may be less an issue because there's just a water heater behind there, and um it's probably fine that you put it there. But just
I put another rod here.
for the same geopathic stress.
No, that was for the Hartman
Right.
line.
So again, you're specifically trying to cure the geopathic stress, and it would
Okay.
be different. So you might need to put two rods there,
Gotcha.
one for the geopath, and be really clear about as you're putting it down.
Mhm.
Or you could obviously that one rod wasn't taking care of it if it was still an issue, right? The Hartman, the negative Hartman line was taking care of that, but it wasn't necessarily taking care of the geopathic stress line, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so in this place, it doesn't probably matter that much because there's nobody really in there. But in truth, you would want to have gone in and see if you can find out where's the center point, where's it coming from. If there's a wall behind and it's not a peripheral wall, you want to find where it's coming into the house, right?
Okay.
So, so in this case, it's probably taking care of whatever it needs to take care of. Um, and but then you could also ask from the center line how, what's the outer edge, right? Because you want to make sure, like, that's a bed right there, right? Is that a bed?
Where?
That's a bed right there. Is that a
This
bed?
is a couch.
Oh, that's
These are both couches.
they're both couches.
So
Okay.
this is like the main living area, and then that's a bed, and then there's a bedroom upstairs.
Okay. So you would still want to just make sure it's taken care of on the peripheral wall. And um and part of that reason is because it's not just one line, just a 1 inch line. It could be, you know 12 inches and 12 inches from the center. So whatever that was encompassing in that sort of auric field of that frequency, let's just say, you'd want to cover that, because who's ever, if that, it's not a bed, but if it was a bed, it would be still hitting that person. And
Mhm.
if somebody happens to, if that's their favorite place to sit right on the edge of that couch, they're still in that field. So it's just
Okay.
something to be aware of. That's all. Yeah.
Okay. One of my questions was about negative vortexes and positive vortexes for that matter. But negative vortex, um, would, like with geopathic stress lines, they're usually always cured on like the lowest level closest to the ground. Do negative vortexes, can their like strongest point be at any level, or would it also then be?
It would, the strongest point would always be the lowest to the earth.
Okay.
Um,
'Cause I ended up getting it when I doused for it. The rods went upstairs very quickly, but it ended up being here. The So you go up the stairs and then you're in, this is another window, and then it's kind of like the door is here, but there's a doorway into the bedroom. And I got the negative vortex like in this corner.
Okay, so you would just want to go downstairs and check, like if you found that first, is it, and what's underneath there?
So underneath there is would be essentially like this part of the kitchen,
Okay. Uh,
or a little bit back actually, because
well,
that would
okay,
be
so I'm gonna
there.
invite you to go downstairs.
Yeah. I
Did you,
mean, I'm looking at it right now.
did you cure it or you didn't cure it?
Essentially that area is like underneath is like the kitchen sink
Okay, that's fine because you can put the rods in,
and
just
across.
pull out everything
Hmm.
there if you need to.
Yeah.
Again, part of this is creative, and um, but if there really is one there, then you're going to want to check in the if that's where it is in the kitchen, you
Hmm.
you want to check that out.
Yeah. It's like kitchen sink or where the washing machine is. They have washing machines here in the kitchen. That's what they do. Um, but yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean,
I'll check.
make sure you go downstairs because that will be the if I found it upstairs, then you probably can be sure it's downstairs, and it'll be stronger upstairs, which is maybe why you found that first.
Would it be stronger upstairs though?
Yeah,
Because that's like where it's like,
it just gets stronger as it rises.
okay. That's what I was wondering. Cause I was like, I asked, I was like, negative vortex, take me to like the strongest point in the house. And it was like very like, you're going
Okay, so,
upstairs.
right. So you want to right. So see, it's the way you ask the question. You
Yeah.
got exactly what you asked for. You know it's going to be stronger up there, and you want to ask where's the source of it. You know,
Okay.
and and again, it's all exploration. Notice how measure it. How strong is it up there? Measure it. How strong it is down there.
Okay.
Just teach yourself, and just for the simplest method, you want to um, cure that, and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt putting that cross there, but you can tape it down, and
Yeah.
usually I don't like people to put stuff over it,
Mm.
and put stuff around it, um, but you can just do your own testing, see if it makes
Okay.
sense, and yeah. um, and like I said, you could always, if the rods wouldn't fit in there or something, or you couldn't make the right 90-degree angle in there, which you should be able to, but maybe not, and you got to check, is this cured? You know,
Hmm.
um, you could have always, have even a smaller medium ring, and put that there, or um, tape it above. I mean, you play with the different things and see what works for you. I mean, you could
Okay.
also can tape it above. Um, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's good to understand that negative vortexes will get stronger as it goes up, but the origin point will be at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. And for positive vortexes, beside like what I didn't actually end up, I didn't have any of the cures with me while she was here. So I kind of just made note of where everything was
Right. That's a good.
and told her I was going to revisit it after. And we did like a space clearing and all the other things. But yeah. Um, and so with a positive vortex, to amplify it, like what are ways to like, what do you want to do with positive vortexes?
You want to let the person know that it's a really a beautiful place to rest or heal if they're sick, or meditate.
Okay.
Um, I would always want to expand it. if it's a
Yeah.
natural if it's a natural positive vortex, so you have to ask, is it a natural positive vortex, especially if you're
Okay.
with rings. If you're carrying that ring with you, then it's going to include that. So you need to ask, is there a natural positive vortex in here? If there is one, you can enhance it with a crystal, not a baby crystal, but something of substance.
Mhm.
And I always like to carry a crystal. Like I usually carry this crystal with me um,
Mm.
when I'm dowsing, because a good sized crystal, a person can see the difference. Like here, I put down the ring. Here's the outer band of energy, the outer field of the positive vortex. Now watch what happens when I do that. And it can be a hanging crystal. It doesn't have to be like this, but I carry one. It doesn't, and you could carry one that's, half the size of this one. But it, it expands, then you're creating this amazing field for somebody. And when they can see it and feel it, then they're going to go do that for themselves or tell somebody else or whatever.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so with a positive vortex, you just want to expand it. Look for how you can expand it or tell,
Okay.
um,
Mhm.
and if there is no positive vortex, you can create one with, you can let them know about the rings. And it's really good to have one in the house, or depending on what's going on with them, for them to use it under their bed or behind their headboard, or depending.
Okay.
Also, just so that now that you have that one, can you run that one over your body and down to the floor?
Through my over, yeah.
Okay, so that's something we can talk about. um I don't know if I've talked about it with you. um
It's mentioned
right.
in just the what's it called?
The book.
The the
Yeah.
book, yeah. Or
Yeah.
in even the what you say as far as like at the end, possibly running it over the person you're dowsing.
Right.
Um,
Because if there's anything sticking, or if somebody's really emotional, or you get a feeling like that, the house is kind of done, but I'm going to just take this off for a second. So that the house is done, but something doesn't quite feel right. Like I feel like,
mhm,
what, it's just something, I don't know what it is. It's usually the person is holding on to something, and so that's part of why I do that. And
mhm,
um Brian's got all kinds of rings for all kinds of stuff. But you can just move it really slowly, have them step into it, or and then just or just start at the top and go down, but do it really slowly. And you can even try it with Anthony, or just notice the energy as you're going up and down, because wherever there's any stuck energy, all of a sudden, or if somebody's really having trouble with their something in their body or their heart, like all of a sudden the ring gets really heavy, like 1,000 pounds heavy, like.
yeah.
And you can just hold it there, and that sometimes, I mean, well, for every situation where that happens for me, that clears the energy and something. And I even might say to them, what's let them just sit in it, while you're finishing the assessment, put the ring under their feet, or do both. Like, actually, I do both, the ring over them, and then I let them sit in it while I'm finishing. And I might ask them, is there anything else that's popping in for you? Because if there is, it's going to pop in then,
Okay.
and there might not be, but there, and you'd be surprised at how much that just shifts again, you're the one who's talking about aligning the environment with the soul, right? That is like the pièce de résistance of that kind of experience. It allows the frequencies to just cohere as one. Like if there's anything that's not, at least at that point, not to say a week later it's going to be something else, obviously, but that's one way of leaving everything in its most purest place for that person.
Yeah. Mm. And essentially just like asking them to like sit with it and see what's coming up or any messages or um like essentially just allowing for spaciousness of like their stuff to like fall into resonance
Mhm.
or
And
get cleared.
and I'm watching also. I'm
Yeah.
watching. You can watch their body language, and it's like, and also it's giving them that last extra dose, right? If something's going on in their life, or
Yeah.
awesome. Did you want to bring up anything else you want to? Did you want to bring up something else about the house? Any other questions? Or you can bring it. I just wanted, while I was talking to you, I just wanted to look you in the eyes.
Yeah, that's good.
But if you want to
Um,
back up, you can.
yeah, not specifically from I realized I ended up getting one geopathic stress point and then didn't end up getting the other unless maybe that was it. I made a marking on the paper and I can't read my handwriting now for what I marked. Um,
That's the other thing. I usually like carry a set of colored pencils or colored little fine line markers,
yeah,
and just like it's just easy when you just just decide that, okay, this color is geopathic stress, this is, and essentially probably comes from, for me, it comes from where I learned dowsing from.
yeah,
uh, but um and and so when I'm marking it for someone literally remotely, I'll mark it all up so that they can see it, and
yeah,
then for myself, I'm not questioning. And even I'll do I don't have one here, but I'll even do like a map, and just blue is geopathic stress, and that way
yeah.
I never have to question. And if you ever want to go back and look at it, you have it. So
Absolutely. I mean, it was actually so nice having a map. So even if like I don't have to bring the cures with me right then and knowing what's where um
yeah.
was good. Um yeah, but so I'm assuming that actually might be the other geo. Oh, that would make perfect. No, would that make perfect sense? I don't know. So the other area I got was behind the fuse box in the bedroom. Um, which I wrote something which could be a small GP for geopathic stress, which would make sense because I marked down that I had two different ones, two
Okay.
different lines for them, and I only wrote down geopathic for one larger one. So,
Okay. So I would really encourage you to begin with, to make sure you're doing a full assessment first. Because
mhm,
more so, because I want you to see the difference, because um if there's a lot of whatever geopathic stress, and I'm not if there's a lot of interference or negative Hartman negative Curry lines or whatever, you're not even going to look at any of that other stuff until you just go to the fuse box.
okay,
Because if you go to the fuse box and you take care of the fuse box, then some of those things disappear.
yeah. And so, like for this setup, if you don't have like a ring to put over the fuse box, what would you do? Like with rods or
You're gonna okay, so and then I'll introduce you to some of this paint I'm using, which I'm
okay.
exploring right now. Um and yeah, and it's really fascinating, and I love it. And I'm doing both, but I'm testing the dowsing, and then I put the paint on, and I test it. I want to see what the paint is actually doing.
Yeah.
Even though I'm working with somebody who has only used the paint and not anything else, but I'm finding she's missing some things that I'm finding. So again, I'm in the experimental stage. So you're going to, first of all, test the fuse box. Show me the energy, and notice how it's spinning. Is it just going back and forth? Is it, like, is it giving you
Yeah.
a strong, I mean, if you've got a lot of them, it should be going pretty strong. But again, you're going to learn. And
Mhm.
then you're going to take one of your earth cures, and you're going to just place it at the top of the fuse box, just for your own
Okay.
learning. You don't have to, you'll end up stop doing that, but put it up and now test it again and see what
Mhm.
the difference is.
Okay.
Because once you know there's a difference or it neutralizes it,
Mhm.
then what you're going to do, again, that fuse box looks different than maybe what the US has. I don't know. But in the US, I would open up the fuse box, then you see all the fuses, and you're going to bend like a sort of a U, right? Up. You're going to bend the rod so it makes a U.
Mhm.
And again, in the US, like usually for some of them, the way that they're made, I can make that U. So I bend one side and I just measure it and kind of bend the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it's not
Mhm.
perfect, then you're gonna tape it in. Okay,
Mhm.
electrical tape. And usually above the fuses. And sometimes if it's that kind of fuse box, it'll just, because of the way that the U is, it'll just slip right in and it'll hold itself there. So it just depends.
Mhm.
You have to kind of see what kind of fuse box. I mean, you could
Yeah.
could go closer and send me a picture if you want, but in any case, you're making a U so that it's the periphery inside, and then you're just going to tape it in.
Okay.
Not what that should do, and you'll check, is neutralize it, which is,
Okay.
right, if you use a ring, if somebody owns it and they know they want to live there, you're going to say to them, hey, I can neutralize this, which, for now, and send you the link for the ring. um uh the ring is going to create a positive field, and
Mm.
that's going to affect all the wiring in the house, which is
Mm.
a positive field for somebody to live in. So ultimately, somebody who owns their house, and even if somebody who rents, but they might not want to spend the money for, all you need, or Brian's, there's $60 there. Brian has these, the small rings, and they're called clearing discs.
Okay.
He's making them and that actually has a sticky, but they're $62.
Okay.
But for anyone who's living in their house, or they want to leave it,
Yeah.
and you can
That's
always take that thing with you if you want, if you move. But that's your best bet. I'm gonna have to go check to see how much the small rings are, because I can't imagine. I know that they're really any different if you put a small ring there or one of those clearing discs. I'll have to get some and just test it out.
yeah. Let me know.
To see if there's really any really any difference. But in any case, those are the options. But it does
Okay.
make a difference. It will create a positive vibration going through the whole place, and that is ultimately the best thing. And that's why I was asking you about that I didn't see it as a light. I didn't know if it was like internet or what but even the fact that there's a light right there, that's creating a field, and you might want to just test that area.
Mhm.
Maybe if you didn't find anything going on there, you would probably have sent
Oh,
interference
I
or.
actually even got, and I think maybe it's just because um we live on a street on like Thursday through Sunday. There's like nightly disco tours that go out like the street. Like there's people going on tours, and it's such a main like tourist fair of things happening. And there's a lot of entertainment out half the time during the day. We can hear like bagpipes or like other street performers and stuff outside. Um, but I didn't ask if it was natural, but I got a positive vortex like right by the middle upstairs window actually. Um, and even like what she said, like one of like the a fun thing to do here is like almost like stand in that spot, like looking out the window and like seeing the festivities going on outside and everything.
Okay, so check
Um,
downstairs to see if the positive vortex is coming from the upstairs, from the downstairs up. And
yeah,
and that alone, if that's really there, then it could just be deflecting that energy of, it's already, and maybe, and you see, the thing is, if a lot of people have done the same thing and there's all this joy and positive energy, guess what? They've
yeah,
created a positive vortex in that area. It's
yeah,
like, which is very fascinating.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I imagine it's like the area, like anything going on, it's like where you would stand to like watch things. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
beautiful. That's cool.
interesting dowsing for it.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, a few things to check on that house, and to let me know, like, what's the end result of what's the energy, of the energy of the work that you've done. Asking, is there anything else? Is there, yeah, that's all. Just, and it
Yeah.
sounds like you did a really good job if she's, really felt a difference, and feels good about it. And um, yeah, that's beautiful. And how,
Yeah. Like, what?
sorry,
Go
did the
on.
rods, were you able to get it under the baseboard, or what did you do?
So there's carpet and the carpet isn't that some of the areas I can put it in better. Um I essentially just laid it like right in between the carpet and the baseboard. And so you can still kind of see it. Like it's not like no one will mark it like right now, that one. Like I can't see it all. Where her personal interference line was is kind of like by the radiator on the couch. And so I just put it under there, just laid them. Likewise, the one that I had in the kitchen, I just put it like on the floor, like right next to
Right.
the ground.
Okay.
And then the one, actually, it was interesting. I didn't, across from the entryway, there was an area and I didn't douse for it at all, but like I was just like I was feeling called. I was like, I just want to put a rod there. And so I laid a rod, which would have been, I don't know if you can see, but by this window, which is essentially like in line, kind of crossing the bed, going outside from where the fuse box, or not the fuse box, but where the, what's it called, the meter I think is for the house. And I laid that there, but the carpet was kind of coming up a little bit so I could get it like underneath the carpet, and the wall, right underneath that window. And so yeah, I was just like, I was in there putting one of the other ones down. I was like, a rod just needs to go here, so I put a rod there. I didn't like ask like what it was. I could go back and ask, but yeah.
I mean, there's just, you're just trusting what's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So
also,
the ones that are movable, like once you leave there, um,
yeah,
you either want to, like,
tape it or like do something to kind of keep it like
well, at
more
least,
hidden.
yeah, or take a little, take a little knife, make a hole in the rug, and slide it in.
Yeah.
Never,
Okay.
it won't affect the rug. No one's ever going to see it,
Yeah.
but you do your best making sure that, because if someone sees it, they're going to pull it up. They're going to go like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
And unless, something like the negative vortex, you want to talk to her about, uh, and yeah, that kind of stuff.
Cool. And the one in the closet, I was just able to like, no one's gonna get to it. And it was like putting it behind, like underneath, like the heating tank, etc.
Oh,
So
yeah. I bet nobody.
yeah, yeah. And that was where the negative Hartman was. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And did you do the field clearing, the final? Okay, good. And that's really
Mhm.
important because that will make a real difference.
Yeah, I think it was doing that, and maybe right before that or right around that is like when I asked her just to like think of some things that she loved as well. And
Mhm.
that's when this like the huge breeze came. It
I
was
love
lovely. It was a really nice.
I love that.
Um
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Good story. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just thank the elements.
Um, what?
We
What
just
was
thank
the
the elements for participating, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and she asked me, and at the beginning, like I asked her to feel free to call in any guides that she works with or anything. And she ended up calling on Archangel Gabriel actually, and had this picture of these angels just kind of praying or like giving light to the house from the very beginning. Like this was before we even started. Ended up opening the house outside and then came up and also opened to the front door. And that's when I invited her to ask for anything. And then I actually have these pictures from my father, but halfway during the clearing, I have this picture.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, that's exactly what I saw. When like I mentioned like asking for anything, she's like, that is the image that I saw. And she ended up taking a picture. She's like, how do I get that?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and the only other thing I want to say about that downstairs where people are smoking and there's that uh electric meter there.
Mhm.
Like that's a place that I would actually focus on to create a positive vibration. I would open it up. I would look at what can I do. It's a place where you might want to get one of those clearing discs. And I'm not saying for you to do it because or look at, really check into how can you create a positive field um, there, because you got a couple of doors happening. You got and then you got something that is, and go down and actually measure the energy of that thing, because that's affecting everybody, and to really feel into um, what is possible to either have hidden around that, or um, maybe it's programming a crystal, if nothing else,
Yeah. I
and
had mentioned to her about doing, because you had mentioned the hallways and the doors, about hanging a Swarovski crystal from the ceiling in there. And I mentioned that to her to source it and that it could be anything and then just on like fishing wire or something. But I will, knowing that that was there, I actually opened it up at one point and I could feel like a buzz to my head.
that's where
Uh,
that's where this paint that I'm working with, the shielding paint, is really fantastic. So,
yeah, so it's a copper
so
paint or what is
yeah, let's see. It has copper in it. Um, the 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 new paint. I mean, essentially, my friends like she put it's just in these little nail polish bottles.
Oh,
Carry it, and you swipe on the top and the bottom, and that depolarizes. This is more about polarization, and it depolarizes the energy. Um, and yeah, it should stop that
how
buzz.
fun.
You so
How can I get some?
well, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? I mean, you can order from my friend Jamie, and that would come from. Um, she's the biofield expert, and
Okay.
I'm going to actually be selling them off my website, um, but I don't have it set up yet. So, um, and she's making me these amazing. I'll show you some. This is really amazing. So I got it. A lot to get together here. Um, she makes these frequencies. They're not essential oils, and they're not. It's more like radionics. But her boyfriend just made this amazing box. Check this out. So
Ah,
look at this. It's all done with laser, and it's just beautiful box. And
beautiful.
yeah. So but she's making me. I told her I wanted a box for houses. So and she's made a kit which is inclusive of the paint, and the other thing that I'm using, which I don't think I have right here, not here downstairs, are these mini boulders that do the same. They depolarize the rebar, because under most houses, when they're making a foundation, they're using rebar, and that rebar causes a really intense effect on the house as well. So these are the couple of things that I'm kind of experimenting with. So you can order some from her, but let me just check out, because actually yeah, that's where I know the specific pink can come from right now. So and she made up the gold, but she's working with the black because she found this is works even better. Um, and the black is great for wire, any kind of wires or in the fuse box. The gold is good for, but like
Yeah. It's so cute in a
I
nail
tried
polish container.
I know, and I tried, and so you can give it to your client, like that's part of their kit, right? And I
Yeah.
tried, I have all these different types of EMF things for the phone, and we did a whole testing on them. And except for the Memon, because I didn't have the Memon with me, but we did test it sort of etherically, but I want to test it with it actually. But I this is what I discovered. 3 swipes with that paint on your phone. And also it doesn't cost anything hardly for anybody. It's like not, I mean, it's the paint.
Yeah.
Right? And
What does the paint consist of, or what's her like?
Um, it's a
What's the
shielding paint. She's studied
okay?
Vastu, and and she also worked for this. She's got skills I don't have. Like she knows Vastu, and she's worked with like a organic, not organic, but a natural pharmaceutical company for years. She was their rep. Um, and somehow that's how she learned about the paint. And now she's making her own, because she's found if she puts certain frequencies into the paint, then it's even better. So
Yeah.
and people think, oh, shielding paint, I want to paint my all walls with it, but it actually is keeping out the natural frequencies that we need. So it's not all that good. But when, and I've already tested like 2 other people, and it was the same thing. All of a sudden, because you can't mess with kinesiology. Like you can't force yourself to, you know, be strong if your body isn't going to be strong. So
Yeah.
um, anyway, so that's, yeah, we'll get you some. I'll just talk to her and see what we can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that would be a place that you would totally use it,
Yeah.
and fuse boxes, like I said, I'm experimenting with, okay, I put the paint on first. Is it really getting rid of, is it just depolarizing, or is it actually getting rid of some of the, the EMFs? And
Yeah.
so, but I feel like that plus the cures plus intention, and it's like you got the gamut covered, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I for whatever reason yesterday, I ended up getting the audio book for Sacred Space by Denise Lynn. You- and I was just starting to listen to it as I was like cooking and doing other things and everything. Um, but yeah, she goes on lots and lots of different cures for things.
Right.
Um,
And because she's
and
she doesn't doubt, she's feng shui, right? I mean, that's kind of
yeah, she does feng shui, but she has Native American roots, and so a lot of her stuff is just steeped in like
right.
tradition of things. So
Right. No. Yeah. I I I love her stuff, but I don't. I catch it here and there. I haven't really studied.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I bet it's interesting. One of my takes of it was like it's interesting like what is necessarily like overkill versus I think she's just trying to be very thorough and being like there's this way you can do things and that way you can do things and like there's so many different ways to do cures and intention and like at the very beginning she even talked about just like main things of like intention and focus and then she's like all of the other things that I tell you in the book like all start with like this as a basis. So
Mhm. Cool.
anyway.
All right. So going forward, okay, a couple of things before we go. Oh, well, actually, I
Mhm.
can we can take this off of record. And so, is there anything else bubbling in the field before we just close this part of it?
Um, I even for both the boxes, I'm gonna douse them and then I can just take one of my rods and bend it and neutralize it and I'll douse again and see like what it is.
Yeah, and before you bend it, if you want to just sit it on the top, not on the
Okay.
bottom, on the top,
Yeah.
um, so that you can get an idea. Oh, yeah, this does cure it or
Yeah.
neutralize whatever it's doing. Yeah.
Cool. And in like even the dowsing questions, I was surprised that I didn't get taken to those spots more so with like the questions that I had. But is that like typical or does it not necessarily correlate?
I'm not quite getting what you're saying.
Like there wasn't any question that I had that it was like, I'm gonna go straight to this meter. Um, and I guess they're both like in the center of the house versus the peripheral of the house in whatever ways. But I guess I was somewhat thinking that like I knew where they were, that I would maybe be taken there, and it didn't end up happening.
Be taken like to the fuse box first.
Yeah, to like none of my questions took me to either the fuse box or um
And when you say none of your questions, what kind of questions are you talking about?
just like the vortex, the positive, like the geopathic stratus
Oh,
interference.
well, okay. The way that it doesn't necessarily take me there. I mean, I can always go there, but
Yeah.
the way that I know that that's what's part of the cause is when I see a huge amount of or a lot of um interference or negative Hartman, negative Currys. That's the way I know that.
Okay.
I mean, you can always go to the fuse box first, but um and take care of it, and then it's going to take care of a
Hmm.
lot. I think part of this is a way of learning how it feels, right?
Hmm.
So so I don't necessarily get taken to the fuse
Okay.
box
Cool.
first. I don't know if that helps, but I just know, I mean, maybe I just know that, when I do that assessment immediately, I know I'm gonna go there first. When if I only see two or three negative Hartmans or two or three, like if you were in the country, it may not be creating such an effect, but um, pretty much a smart meter and a fuse box is going to cause, like, could you just go and put a rod there and then do your assessment? You could, you know, you definitely could. So,
Yeah.
um, I guess
All
if
right.
you were to ask, I guess the last thing would, if you were to just ask, like, do I need to go to the fuse box first? You're going to get your yes and no, and you're just going to go do whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I think part of so so the reason I wouldn't do that, because for me, I'm working with my clients so that they can become more enlightened and awake. And
Hmm.
when they watch the assessment, like, I will always require them to watch the assessment. It's just one thing. I want you to be there, because
Yeah.
because they're waking up watching. And when they see the difference, they're in a whole other place by the time you're, like you described, you're done. And that's really part of my, you know, what I'm doing. So a regular dowser or somebody would probably go right to the fuse box and doesn't need to invite their client for anything if they don't want to. But that's not my purpose. And you're just and you're where you are, you know, you I know that's more about what you're about as well. And that's what brings you joy, because that's what you're describing when she told you about that whole experience. Then if that reciprocity of energy, that confirmation is there really for both of you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like even just beforehand, and I think one thing I reminded her of is like houses just really want to feel loved. And actually, it was so sweet at the very end. She's like, I feel like my house is just like so happy you're here, and it's like giving you a hug.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Ta-da! That's the best thing to receive.
yeah, yeah. I was like, houses, like places. I mean, all places just want to be loved and used and taken care of. And she's like, yeah, I've definitely like have stopped doing that to this place because she's had like a handful of people, and I just addressed the fact that, it hurts like when people, ruin your property, like it feels bad. And so I definitely feel like the place, part of our working together was just like healing that
Perfect.
that scar that she had from.
The house becomes an attractive field for the people that you really want there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you. Um, so I'll print out what you sent me and I'll just take a peek and see if there's anything else that I happen to notice when we come back. And what's next, so
You wanted to stop the recording and then you wanted to.
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, let's just close for a second this part.
Okay.
So we love you, we love you, we love you, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Amin, aho, ashe. Thank you to the home. Thank you to the house. Houses surrounding, knowing they're being shifted as well. To the people that those houses are affecting. Thank you to our guidance. God, Creator, Source. And gratitude for being able to be part of this service of uplifting consciousness and helping create a whole system health. Blessings.